Hello, this afternoon on the marketplace, Trade Minister Alain Chiamatin calls on U.S. government to begin negotiations with Ghana and rest of Africa post-African Growth and Opportunity Act AGWA programs and others to ensure the country benefits significantly from U.S. trade and investments. Also coming up, mobile money contributed 250 million cedis to tax revenues in 2020 alone. We'll hear from the Chamber of Telecommunications.
They are not cash cows, and then you also cannot call them MNOs or telcos in that sense. For me, they are one word, and that's the way I like to call them. They are development partners.
Plus, the Bank of Ghana reminds public only universal banks are allowed to undertake foreign currency and forex trade as it releases lists of all licensed financial institutions in the country. Thanks for joining us once again. My name is Darryl Kwao. This is The Marketplace. Details after this. First up, Trade and Industry Minister Alain Chiamatin is calling on the U.S. government to begin negotiations with Ghana and the rest of the African continent on post-African Growth and Opportunity Act AGWA programs to enable the country benefit significantly from U.S. trade and investments. AGWA, which enables African countries to export some items, including textiles, to the U.S. on duty-free, quota-free basis, is expected to expire in 4 years' time. But Mr. Chiamatin wants the U.S. to start consultations and engagements with Ghana and the rest of the continent for probable programs cast in the same mode of AGWA since it has a new administration. He was speaking during the 2021 U.S.-Ghana Business Forum organized by the American Chamber of Commerce.
Ghana and the United States have had long-standing and deep fraternal relations based on shared values, mutual respect, and a common heritage. In fact, there are generations of African Americans who trace their ancestry to Ghana. In spite of this strong bond of friendship, I would say that trade and investment between our two countries have not yet reached.
Well, tax collections for mobile money operations amounted to 250 million cedis last year. This according to a report by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Now, according to the head of research and communications at the chamber, Derek Laye, the amount is separate from other taxes that the government collects from telecom firms. He therefore argues that the sector cannot be overburdened again with direct taxes on mobile money. He was speaking at a knowledge forum by the Chamber of Taxation.
There's a need to support the sector. So looking at rebalancing the taxes within the economy, looking at rebalancing the taxes within the economy so that you can be able to drive digital inclusion and economic growth is key for me. We've seen also from past studies how telecommunications is taxed just as luxury goods within the same bracket like luxury goods like alcohol and tobacco. Now, alcohol and tobacco, we know are luxury goods. They have sin taxes on them, and sin taxes are basically taxes that are supposed to discourage usage. But here's mobile. We say mobile is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. In fact, the UN calls it a human right to actually be able to be connected. So if you are taxing something that is a necessity, like something that is a luxury, obviously that calls questions that requires policy relook at the tax structure within the ecosystem. And then more importantly, I'll just end by saying that today, they are not cash cows, and then you also cannot call them MNOs or telcos in that sense. For me, they are one word, and that's the way I like to call them. They are development partners. And it's important that government begins to see them in that sense, because if you have an industry that can collect taxes from close to 400,000 people for you, that's something that GRA cannot do on any day. And if they even attempt to do it, the money they will use to do it will be more. They'll spend more money to go for that tax. So Ken was giving me a scenario of somebody in the GRA office in Keta has to drive to Chame to go and look for an agent. When he goes, the agent is not in the kiosk. He's going to wash his things at home. You keep going like that, and by the time he gets the agent, he'll probably be getting 220 cedis for the whole year on withholding taxes. It's not efficient. So it's important that we see them as development partners and structure taxation in such a way that we can be able to collect it effectively and then also support the national
While speaking at the same event, manager of tax audit at auditing and accounting firm KPMG, Gordon Dade, called for collaboration between government and the telcos to share costs for tax collection purposes. According to him, this could be part of the digital drive to increase domestic revenue.
The sector plays a very key role when it comes to employment. And even in the year of COVID, we saw a significant increment in PAYE. That tells you how the sector is so much important. So moving forward, we want to recommend some two critical areas that the government should partner with the telcos for development. Well, we've seen that government has done a lot of investments in areas of digital transformation and the cashless economy. We've been saying this over time. We've seen government investing in different things. Government, trying to, say a lot of digital, put a lot of digital investment. So you see our vice president going around every time talking about what government is doing with the NIA, talking about NHIS and other investment that is going in the sector. Can government partner the telcos so that there's a cost-sharing arrangement? How can government partner the telcos to ensure that these investments are not just done on one side? So government is doing something, the telcos are also doing something. But can we come together and have an agreement and have a unitized process to this investment so that there's a cost-sharing arrangement? And if you're also able to identify people that you can tax, then there's some sort of tax sharing that can also go on. Now, in our income tax law, or even in the VAT, there is that provision that talks about how to tax non-resident providing telecommunication services in Ghana. And now this particular provision has a very, great challenge. There's been so much challenge with the implementation.
Well, let's turn to some other news for you this afternoon. The Bank of Ghana is reminding the public that only universal banks are allowed to undertake foreign currency and forex trading in the country. George Affe has more on the central bank's financial literacy notice.
It is not clear for now what might have influenced this notice from the Bank of Ghana, but it has come up in recent times that some institutions other than universal banks were said to be engaged in this practice. One is also not sure how this is said to be contributing to the current pressure on the Ghana cedi, resulting in its depreciation against the US dollar. The notice also outlined the various functions of all the financial institutions under the Bank of Ghana's supervision. That is from universal banks to collectors and credit reference bureaus in the country. It also reminded the public that these forex bureaus were not allowed to sell foreign currencies on the spot market of not more than $10,000 to customers, adding that they are also under no circumstance are supposed to take deposits from the public. For microfinance firms, the Bank of Ghana also reminded them that they are not allowed to lend more than 10% of their net worth and take deposit of not more than 5% of their net worth. The Bank of Ghana did not limit itself only to firms, that is supervisors, as it went ahead to also give details of institutions that come under other regulators like the Securities and Exchange Commission and the National Insurance Commission. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has also released a list of firms that are allowed to do business in Ghana, from commercial banks to savings and loans, as well as credit reference bureaus. So if you are in doubt of that institution that you are dealing with, well, you may have to get onto the Bank of Ghana website to carry out your own checks and verification.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana insists that the recent policy measures it introduced helped minimize the expected COVID-19 shocks on the banking sector. Universal banks in the country posted strong profits for the end of 2020 and even the first half of this year. However, some have linked to some internal measures introduced by these banks to deal with the pandemic, looking at the changing environment. But speaking at the Ghana Investment Summit, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, maintained that the regulatory interventions over the last 2 years cannot be ignored.
So far, it's a good one showing that a lot of the projects that the government committed to implementing, including infrastructure projects, have been completed. The key strategic factories to provide jobs and accelerate the industrialization agenda have been operationalized. Ghana has recently been removed from the Financial Action Task Force grey list, and the Ministry of Finance has signed compact agreements with the various ministers to deliver on the Ghana Cares program. In terms of the consolidation efforts, as I said earlier on, we are continuing to implement prudent macro-fiscal policies, and we continue to remain on track in terms of fiscal stability. We were able to this year issue a foreign currency denominated bond with a zero coupon, and the energy sector has been revamped. Of particular interest is the issue of the robustness of revenue to support the fiscal consolidation effort. And the government has focused on measures that would help to improve domestic resource mobilization. So we think that this is an economy that will continue to show strong growth, although the risks remain in terms of our ability to sustain the progress that have been made with the COVID vaccines. We expect inflation to continue to remain within our target bands, even though we have had some base drift effects due to some of the recent tax adjustments and petroleum price adjustments. But the government is committed to continue to implement prudent macro policies. The government is still interested in ensuring that sustainability as well as financial stability to support the recovery.
Now, in other news, government has been charged to do more through digital means to increase significantly the country's revenue mobilization. According to the Managing Director of Strategic Mobilization Limited, Christian Soti, government must strive to collect adequate taxes from the informal sector. The government has implemented some strategies to ensure tax compliance. Mr. Soti, who is a former controller and accountant general, believes the best way to complement government's effort of increasing revenue is to ensure that businesses in the informal sector do not evade taxes.
If you look at the tax regime, we really have a fundamental problem, which I believe is being addressed now. Our economy, as the economists always tell us, is 80% is the informal sector and 20% formal sector. Meanwhile, the formal sector pays about 90% of the revenue, the taxes, whilst the informal sector, which is 80%, pays only less than 10% of our revenue. It means the chunk of the economy is not paying taxes. And we will need to be able to address our revenue fall and to match other economies in our revenue tax to GDP, then we need to bring in more people into the tax net. And I believe that that is being done by addressing the issue of national identification. We are now addressing addressing system. And I believe when all these things are put in place, we will be able to now bring many people into the tax net.
Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited is the country's first digital project to monitor petroleum products across 16 depots. It has so far mobilized 1 billion cedis of revenue within its 10 months of operation for the government. You're watching The Marketplace. We are taking a short break. We'll have more stories coming up. Welcome back to The Marketplace. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce says its partnership with academic institutions in the country is beginning to yield results as the universities are showing signs of graduates with entrepreneurial skills and mindsets. Now, President of the Chamber, Clement Osei-Marco, is asking the universities to go entrepreneurial as is the best way to develop the country. Speaking at the opening of the 9th University's Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development in Africa Conference at the University of Cape Coast, Mr. Osei-Marco was of the belief that if the skills of students are properly honed, Ghana would be a huge business hub in Africa. Richard Konyaku has more.
The University of Cape Coast was the event venue for the 9th University's Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development in Africa Conference. Entrepreneurs from some of the country's universities showcase the product of their skills and to sell their ideas for support by the private sector. Speaking at the opening, president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce, Clement Osei-Amoako, emphasized the need for the universities to develop the skills of students. He says the collaboration between the academia and industries should be toughened to yield the needed results.
We the chamber, seeing that as a gap, saw the need to go in bed with most of the universities and see how we can, bridge the gap. We saw that as university, what they do mostly is to produce for the private sector. And you cannot sit somewhere and produce to the private sector when you don't know their needs. And so we are saying that, look, why don't we come together and put our needs together? We'll let them know what we are looking for, and they will build their capacity for us, and so that we have a better Ghana. So of now, what we have done so far, we've had some MOU with some universities in Ghana. We've done UMAT, we've done KNUST. We are also doing it with UCC. And beyond this, we are also signing an MOU with them. That is to say that we'll not just come and have a conference and go and sit back. We need to develop our people into the future. And so when we sign, then it means that we have a responsibility to work towards it, and we're going to do that. We are also looking at a situation where we have junior chambers across the universities, where we'll train them when they are in school, just as the beautiful things that we are seeing, build their capacity. And it's not everybody who wants to leave the university and come and work with the government. A lot of people want to work on their own. We need to sit down with the universities and identify those needs and prepare them for the betterment of this country. And that's, I want to tell you, the chamber is ready to do that. And we've done it with some universities, and we are going to do more about that into the future.
CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kwasi Yanke-Aye, congratulated the University of Cape Coast for their support in enterprise development. She intimated government was doing a lot to support the small and medium-scale enterprises.
We have focused in line with government's vision and the president's vision to transform the economy into a world-class economy, bringing into mind some of the government's flagship programs, such as the One District, One Factory, which involves industry, and also most importantly, academia, because what people are producing, right, is things that would have to be advanced. And to be able to advance that, we need the universities, the research that is being done. And I'm happy to hear about the research that is also being run by the University of Ghana. We've been able to transform a lot of these micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the importance of the MSME sector in Ghana cannot be underestimated.
Provost of the College of Humanities and Legal Studies at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Erica Mokwando, stated the University of Cape Coast was committed to equipping students with skills and financial support to make them self-employed. Richard Kwejenyako, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
Well, from the central region to the Ashanti region, where city authorities have demolished a portion of the Kumasi Central Market as part of construction of the second phase of the Kiditia redevelopment project. Now, construction firm working on the project contractor requested the portion for construction of a drainage system. Affected traders initially resisted the evacuation, claiming the city authorities had not given them space for their relocation. More in this report.
The demolition of the section of the Kumasi Central Market started at midnight. An excavator drives through the empty shops and shelves for the demolition. The volume of debris on the grounds indicates the workload ahead. Workers of the construction company were visible at the site to supervise the operation. Consultant for contractor Emmanuel Danso says the acquired land area is to ensure construction of an efficient drainage system to avert flooding after project's completion.
It's part of the 100% that we were looking for. We have already had 80. Now the additional 20 has been released, and that is what we are doing now. The main reason why we need this additional area in order for us to check all the drainage system. Though we might not have them all, but we'll do our best to manage and get it clear.
The exercise was carried out smoothly without the involvement of the security forces.
Well, time to bring you your money tips on Money Lab.
Hello there. Welcome to another edition of the Money Lab. Today, we'll consider what a unit trust is. A unit trust is a collective investment scheme whose objective is to pool funds from unit holders and further invest in securities. One example is the oldest on the market, the Republic Unit Trust. Now, the Republic Unit Trust is a collective investment scheme whose main objective is to invest in short-term money market securities. It was established in 1991 and is the first collective scheme in Ghana. Now, for this trust, it is a fund that invests on money market securities, as mentioned, fixed deposits, Government of Ghana Treasury bills and bonds, corporate bonds, and other commercial papers. The fund is well diversified into portfolios of different securities and thus reduces risks and maximizes returns to investors. Securities selection and allocation are done by experienced fund managers.
And that's the marketplace. Thanks for watching, everyone. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Get up to date on the day's latest stories on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching.